Madison and I were having dinner at home, laughing about something silly that happened at her work. The pasta was perfect, the wine was flowing, and for a moment everything felt right in our 2-year relationship. I reached for my phone to tag her in a funny meme I had just seen, opened Instagram, and navigated to her profile. That is when I noticed something strange. All our photos together, every single picture of us from the past 2 years, had vanished. Her feed now displayed only solo shots of her aesthetic coffee cups and carefully filtered sunset pictures. I stared at the screen, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. And if you have ever been in a relationship where you felt invisible, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, this story takes a turn you will not see coming. Now let me tell you how one deleted photo led to the biggest decision of my life. I set my phone down, slowly trying to process what I was seeing. Madison noticed my expression and glanced up from her own screen. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice casual, almost distracted. I turned my phone toward her, showing her profile. "Why did you delete all our photos?" The question came out quieter than I intended, like I was afraid of the answer. She barely looked up, scrolling through something on her device. "Oh, that I am rebranding my Instagram aesthetic. Your photos did not match the vibe." The words hit me like cold water. I blinked, trying to understand. The vibe? What vibe? Madison sighed, finally giving me her full attention, though her expression suggested I was being difficult. "Raymond, I am building a personal brand. I need a cohesive feed. Everything has to be the same color palette, same mood, same energy. Your pictures, they were just too casual, too cluttered." I felt my chest tighten. Too casual. We were at the beach. We were at my birthday dinner. We were living our lives. She waved her hand dismissively. Exactly. But those photos had graphic tees, busy backgrounds, random restaurant lighting. They disrupted the flow. I am going for minimalist, pastel, clean aesthetic. It is not personal, babe. It is just business. I am trying to grow my following. I sat back in my chair, the pasta suddenly tasteless in my mouth. "So I do not fit your aesthetic." The words sounded absurd even as I said them, but Madison nodded seriously. "Not visually, no. But that does not mean anything about us. It is just Instagram. Just Instagram." The phrase echoed in my head as I pushed food around my plate, no longer hungry. Later that night, lying in bed while Madison slept peacefully beside me, I found myself scrolling through memories. 2 years ago, I had met her at a coffee shop downtown. She had been sitting by the window sketching in a notebook, and when our eyes met, she had smiled so genuinely that I had walked over without thinking. Back then, her Instagram had been full of life. Silly selfies of us making faces, pictures from our hiking trips where we both looked sweaty and happy, screenshots of inside jokes. Her captions had been funny, reel full of mentions of "my amazing boyfriend" and heart emojis. Friends and family commented, constantly telling us we were relationship goals. I remembered feeling so proud to be with her, to be part of her world, both online and off. That sense of partnership had extended to our finances too. 6 months into dating, when we decided to move in together, I had added Madison to my bank account. It seemed like the natural next step, a symbol of trust and commitment. We split rent, groceries, dinners out. Well, technically, I paid about 70% of everything, since my software engineering salary was significantly higher than her part-time retail income, but I never minded. Supporting her dreams felt good. Watching her light up when she talked about her goals made me happy. But somewhere around 6 months ago, things shifted. Madison discovered the world of influencers. She started taking online courses about building your brand, bought a ring light, then another, then a third. Our conversations gradually became dominated by follower counts, engagement rates, and which brands might offer collaboration deals. I thought back to all the small moments I had ignored. The time we went to the beach and she refused to take photos with me because the lighting is bad, not Instagram-worthy. My birthday dinner at my favorite steakhouse where she asked if we could skip posting because the restaurant decor is tacky. The evening I spent 3 hours cooking her favorite meal, plating it carefully, only to have her say, "The presentation is not aesthetic enough for my feed." Each memory stung differently, now sharp and clear. She had started buying an entirely new wardrobe, everything in shades of beige, cream, and white. Her neutral palette, she called it. She asked me to change clothes before we went out, saying, "Can you wear something more neutral? You are clashing with my outfit." I had laughed it off, changed into a plain gray shirt, told myself I was being supportive. I tried so hard to support her dreams. I bought her an expensive tripod for her birthday. I followed all the influencers she admired, learned their names, asked her about their strategies. I woke up early on weekends to drive her to locations with good lighting. I canceled plans with my friends Tyler and the guys more times than I could count, because Madison needed to catch the golden hour for photos. I even turned down a job offer in Seattle, a position that would have been a significant career boost, because she did not want to leave this city. She was building something here, she said. I could not ask her to start over. So I stayed telling myself that is what love looked like. Sacrifice, compromise, putting her dreams first. But as I lay there in the darkness, staring at her Instagram profile for the 100th time, I counted the photos. 32 posts. Not a single one included me. Even pictures where I had originally been in the frame had been cropped. There was one from the cafe where we had our first date, a place we returned to every month. In the original, my hand had been reaching across the table, holding hers. Now the photo showed only her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around a cappuccino cup, my presence edited away like I had never existed. I was not just hurt. I was invisible. And that hurt more than any fight we had ever had. The next morning, I woke up determined to have a real conversation. I made breakfast scrambled eggs the way Madison liked them, with cheese and chives. I needed to approach this calmly, rationally. When she came into the kitchen, hair perfect even first thing in the morning, I poured her coffee and said, "We need to talk about the photos." She sighed heavily, the kind of sigh that suggested I was being exhausting. She pulled out her phone and showed me another influencer's profile. "Look at her feed. See how clean it is. Every post flows into the next. The colors match. The aesthetic is consistent. That is what I am going for, Raymond." I tried to find the right words. "But I am your boyfriend. Do not I deserve to be part of your life online?" She set her phone down with more force than necessary. "You are part of my life, just not my Instagram life. Those are two different things." I shook my head slowly. "But they are not different things, Madison. Social media is part of real life now. When you erase me from your feed, it feels like you are ashamed of me. Like you do not want people to know we are together." Her eyes flashed with anger. "You are being dramatic. It is just Instagram, just pictures. It does not mean anything about how I feel about you." But that was exactly the problem. It meant everything. It meant she cared more about strangers' perception of her feed than about acknowledging the person who supported her every single day. It meant aesthetics trumped authenticity. It meant I was good enough to pay bills and hold her camera and wait patiently while she took 70 shots of the same latte, but not good enough to appear beside her in the final product. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed. Madison's entire demeanor changed instantly. She grabbed the device, her eyes widening. "Oh my God, Raymond, look!" She shoved the screen toward me. An email from a small boutique brand. They wanted to collaborate. Send her free clothes in exchange for a review post. Madison was practically vibrating with excitement. "This is it. This is my first real collaboration. I need to make this perfect. I need props, maybe some backdrop materials." She was already scrolling through shopping apps, adding items to carts. Then she looked up at me with those wide eyes that usually made me melt. "Babe, can I use the card? I need to go shopping for the photo shoot. It should be like $200, maybe $250 tops." The card. She meant the debit card linked to my checking account, the one I had given her access to when we moved in together. Normally, I would have said yes immediately, but something about the timing, about the way she had completely dismissed my concerns and jumped straight into asking for money, made me pause. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone who had forgotten I was a person with feelings, not just a convenient funding source for her dreams. "Sure," I heard myself say. "Get what you need." But the words tasted wrong in my mouth. After Madison left for work, I sat at my home office desk, supposedly working on code for my software project, but I could not concentrate. My mind kept replaying the conversation, her dismissive tone, the way she had said, "just Instagram," like it was meaningless. Around noon, Tyler video called me for our usual check-in. We had been friends since college, worked at the same tech company, and he knew me well enough to immediately notice something was off. "Dude, you look terrible. What happened?" I told him everything. The deleted photos, the aesthetic excuse, the feeling of being erased. Tyler's face went through several expressions: disbelief, anger, concern. "Wait, let me get this straight. She deleted you, like you never existed." He pulled up Madison's Instagram on his own phone, scrolling through. "Man, I remember when her feed was full of you two. You were everywhere. And now?" He kept scrolling. "It is like she is single. This is messed up, Raymond." Then Tyler said something that cut through all my justifications and excuses. "You are literally paying for her aesthetic. You know that, right?" I started to defend Madison automatically, but Tyler kept going. "Think about it. Who pays the rent? You mostly. Who pays for groceries? You. Who paid for that new ring light? You. And all those dinners at fancy restaurants so she can get the perfect food shot? You. She does not have a full-time job, her retail gig barely covers her personal expenses, and this influencer thing has not made $1 yet. You are funding the entire operation, and you are not even good enough for her feed." The words hit me like a physical blow because they were true. Madison worked part-time, maybe 25 hours a week, making minimum wage. Her income was around $1,200 a month. Meanwhile, I made $6,000 as a software engineer. I had never minded the imbalance. I loved her. I wanted to support her dreams. But Tyler's question echoed in my head. Was I supporting her dreams, or was I just being used? That afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I opened my banking app and pulled up recent transactions. I went through the past month, carefully noting every purchase Madison had made. $150 at Sephora for makeup she needed for better photos. $200 at a boutique clothing store for neutral palette outfits. $80 at a trendy brunch, place a meal she had eaten with her friends while I worked, but had posted on Instagram with the caption, "Treating myself." $120 for another ring light, because the other two did not have the right warmth. I scrolled back further. The month before was similar, and the month before that. Madison was spending anywhere from $800 to $1,000 monthly from my account, on top of what I already paid for our shared expenses. I was not just supporting us. I was supporting her entire lifestyle, her entire influencer fantasy, while she cropped me out of the results. The screen blurred as I stared at the numbers. Was I being unfair? Was I being petty? Or was I finally seeing what everyone else could see? That evening, I sat alone in my apartment with my laptop open. Madison had texted that she was going out with friends after work, would not be home until late. I stared at my banking app at the account settings page. There was Madison's name listed as an authorized user with full access to my checking account. My finger hovered over the button that read, "Remove User Access." I thought about trust, about the 2 years we had spent together, about the promises we had made. But I also thought about respect, about being valued, about the basic dignity of being acknowledged. If I was not good enough for her Instagram, why was I good enough for her bank account? The answer seemed suddenly painfully obvious. I remembered what Tyler had said. "You deserve better, man." I had spent so long trying to be enough for Madison, enough for her standards, her vision, her needs, that I had stopped asking if she was enough for me. I took a deep breath, the kind you take before jumping into cold water. My finger moved. I clicked, "Remove User Access." A confirmation screen popped up. "Are you sure you want to remove Madison Torres from this account? She will immediately lose access to all funds and cards." I stared at the warning. This felt huge. This felt final. This felt like the kind of decision you could not take back. I clicked yes. The screen updated. "Madison Torres has been removed from this account." Just like that. 30 seconds, and it was done. I closed the laptop and sat in silence. My hands were shaking slightly. I felt a strange mixture of guilt and relief, like I had done something both terrible and necessary. I had not told Madison I was going to do this, had not warned her or discussed it. But then again, she had not told me before deleting every trace of me from her public life. Maybe we were even now. Maybe this was what boundaries looked like. The next morning, Madison woke up energized, practically bouncing around the apartment. She had the day off from work and had planned a shopping trip with her friend Sarah. "I am so excited," she said, applying her makeup with precise strokes. "I am going to find the perfect pieces for the brand collaboration shoot. This could change everything, Raymond. This could be my breakthrough." She was wearing one of her new neutral outfits, beige pants, and a cream sweater, her hair styled in loose waves. She looked beautiful and completely oblivious to what was coming. "Have fun," I said, my voice sounding normal despite the anxiety building in my chest. Madison kissed me on the cheek, a quick, distracted peck, and grabbed her purse. "Love you, I will text you later." The door closed behind her, and I was alone with my decision. I tried to work, opened my laptop, stared at lines of code that might as well have been hieroglyphics. I could not focus. I kept imagining what would happen when Madison tried to use her card. Would it be at the first store? Would she be alone or with Sarah? Would she be embarrassed? Part of me felt sick at the thought. Part of me felt like this was exactly what needed to happen. 2 hours passed, then 3. I was starting to think maybe she had used cash, or maybe Sarah had paid, or maybe somehow this whole thing would blow over without confrontation. Then my phone rang. Madison's name lit up the screen. My stomach dropped. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times, steeling myself. I answered. "Hello," immediately screaming. "What did you do?" I pulled the phone away from my ear. Even at arm's length, I could hear her fury. "What are you talking about?" I tried to sound confused, innocent. "My card." It declined at the checkout in front of everyone. Madison's voice was shrill, panicked, furious all at once. "Raymond, what did you do?" I took a breath. That is weird. Maybe there is an issue with the card. My calm seemed to make her angrier. "Do not play dumb with me. I tried it 3 times." The cashier looked at me like I am some kind of broke fraud. Sarah was standing right there watching. I have never been so humiliated. "Maybe you should check your banking app," I suggested quietly. I could hear her fumbling with her phone, angry breathing, then a gasp. "It says I do not have access, Raymond. What the hell did you do?" The moment of truth. I could backtrack, apologize, say it was a mistake, restore her access, and go back to how things were. Or I could stand my ground. "I removed your access to my account." Silence. Long, shocked silence. Then, "You what?" "I removed your access." I repeated, my voice steadier now. "For my financial aesthetic." I could almost hear her brain trying to process those words. What does that even mean?" I leaned back in my chair. "Well, you deleted all photos of me for your Instagram aesthetic, right? I figured I would clean up my financial aesthetic. And you did not really fit the vibe." More silence. Then sputtering, "That is completely different." "Is it?" I asked. "You told me Instagram is separate from real life. Well, my bank account is separate from your shopping habits." Madison's voice rose again. "You cannot do this. I have stuff in my cart. The cashier is waiting. I look like an idiot." Something hard formed in my chest. Funny. That is exactly how I felt when I saw my face cropped out of your life. She tried a different approach. Her voice suddenly softer, pleading. "Babe, please. I need to pay for these things. I need this stuff for the shoot. Can you just temporarily give me access back? Please." I closed my eyes. "I will think about it. After you think about whether I am worth posting about." Her tone shifted back to anger instantly. "This is manipulation. This is financial abuse." I felt that accusation like a slap. "No, Madison. This is a boundary. Something I should have set months ago. This is me deciding that I am worth more than being your invisible ATM." I heard her take a sharp breath. "We need to talk when I get home." I nodded even though she could not see me. "Yeah, we do." I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. But underneath the anxiety, underneath the guilt, there was something else. Something that felt like relief, like freedom. Like maybe finally I had done something for myself instead of for her aesthetic. My phone immediately started buzzing with texts. I glanced at the screen. "You are being ridiculous. I cannot believe you embarrassed me like this. Everyone is staring at me. We need to talk when I get home." I did not respond. Instead, I texted Tyler. "I did it." His reply came seconds later. "Did what?" "Removed her from my account." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Dude, how did she react?" "About how you would expect. She is furious." Tyler's response made me smile despite everything. "Good. Proud of you, man. That took guts." I read that message several times. It did take guts. I had spent 2 years trying to be enough for Madison. Enough for her standards, her aesthetic, her dreams, her vision of what her life should look like. I had twisted myself into shapes that fit her frame literally and figuratively. But I had never stopped to ask the most important question, was she enough for me? The answer I was realizing was no. Someone who truly loved me would not erase me. Someone who valued me would not spend my money while refusing to acknowledge my existence. This was not about Instagram followers or financial control. This was about basic human respect. And I deserved that. Madison came home that evening just after 6. I heard her key in the lock, heard her footsteps fast and angry. She dropped her purse on the counter with a thud and stood in the doorway of my office, arms crossed. Her eyes were red, whether from crying or rage, I could not tell. "We need to talk. Now." I saved my work and turned to face her. "Okay, let us talk." She started pacing, gesturing wildly. "You humiliated me. Do you understand that Sarah had to pay for my stuff? I had to explain to her that my boyfriend cut off my access to money without telling me. Do you know how that made me look?" "How did it make you look?" I asked quietly. "Like I am some kind of gold digger. Like I am using you." She stopped pacing, breathing hard. I nodded slowly. "And are you?" Her mouth fell open. "How dare you? I love you. Do you?" The question hung in the air. "Because from where I am sitting, it feels like you love what I provide. You love having someone to pay rent, to buy you things, to hold the camera, to rearrange his life around your schedule. But do you love me? The actual person? Because that person is not good enough for your Instagram." Madison's expression shifted to something defensive. I explained that it is about the aesthetic, it is not personal. I stood up, suddenly tired of this conversation, tired of having to explain why being erased hurt. "Everything is personal, Madison. When you spend hours perfecting photos of coffee cups but will not take a single picture with me because my shirt is the wrong color, that is personal. When you crop me out of memories we made together because I do not match your palette, that is personal. When you demand I change who I am to fit your vision, but will not make a single compromise for me, that is personal." She tried tears next. "I do compromise. I stayed in this city for you." I almost laughed. "You stayed because you wanted to build your brand here. I am the one who turned down a job in Seattle. A job that would have meant a 30% raise and a senior title. I turned it down because you said you could not leave. That was me compromising. What have you compromised?" She did not answer. I continued, my voice quieter now. "I need you to understand something. This is not about punishing you. This is not revenge. This is about me realizing that I have been giving everything and receiving nothing, but being made to feel like I am not enough." Madison wiped her eyes. "So what? You are just going to cut me off? How am I supposed to live?" I felt something crack in my chest. "The same way millions of people live, on your own income, like an adult. I will still pay my share of rent for this month. After that, you need to figure out if you want to stay here and cover half or find somewhere else." She stared at me like I was a stranger. "You are really doing this over Instagram?" I shook my head. "This is not about Instagram. This is about respect. This is about being valued. This is about me choosing to love myself enough to walk away from someone who does not see me." The next 2 weeks were tense and quiet. Madison slept in the guest room. We communicated through text even when we were both home. She tried various tactics. Anger tears, silence, promises to change. But I knew the truth now. I could not unsee what I had seen. Eventually, she moved out, crashing with Sarah while she looked for an affordable place. The apartment felt empty without her echoes in rooms that used to hold laughter. For the first few days, I questioned everything. Had I been too harsh? Too petty? Should I have just let the Instagram thing go? But then I started reconnecting with parts of myself I had neglected. I called Tyler, made plans to hang out that I actually kept. I went hiking alone on Saturday morning, something I used to love, but had given up because Madison did not like getting sweaty before sunset photo opportunities. I started therapy, worked through feelings of inadequacy I had been carrying for years. My therapist asked me one question that changed everything. If a friend told you this story, what would you tell them? The answer was immediate. I would tell them they deserved better. I would tell them love should not make you invisible. 3 months later, I barely thought about Instagram anymore. I posted occasionally pictures of hikes and code projects and dinners with friends, not because I was building a brand, but because I wanted to share moments that mattered. Tyler introduced me to a hiking group that met every Sunday. I made new friends who liked me for who I was, graphic tees and all. I got promoted at work, the raise I should have gotten earlier, but had been too distracted to push for. I even went on a few dates, nothing serious, but it felt good to be seen, to have someone look at me and smile like I was enough, exactly as I was. I ran into Madison once at a coffee shop downtown. She was with someone new, a guy in perfectly neutral clothing, looking uncomfortable as she adjusted angles for a photo. She saw me, froze, then looked away. I ordered my drink and left. I did not feel angry anymore. I did not even feel sad. I just felt free. Free from constantly trying to fit into someone else's frame. Free from wondering if I was aesthetic enough, successful enough, invisible enough. Just free to be Raymond, exactly as I was. Looking back, I learned that love is not about sacrifice to the point of disappearing. Real partnership is built on mutual respect, on seeing each other, on celebrating each other, not editing each other out. If someone is ashamed of you, whether online or in real life, whether it is your appearance or your presence or your existence, that is not love. That is convenience. And you deserve more than being convenient. Financial boundaries matter just as much as emotional ones. It is not controlling to protect yourself from being used. It is not petty to expect basic respect in exchange for your support. I do not regret Madison. She taught me what I will never accept again. I do not hate her. She had every right to chase her dreams, to build her brand, to create whatever aesthetic she wanted. But I also had every right to be respected, to be valued, to choose myself. In the end, aesthetics are just external polish. What truly matters is how someone makes you feel. Do they see you? Do they value you? Do they celebrate you? Or do they hide you? Because if they are hiding you, if they are cropping you out, if they are erasing your existence to make their life look better, then no amount of perfectly filtered photos can make that relationship worth keeping. Sometimes the best filter is the one that removes people who do not appreciate your true colors. And sometimes the most aesthetic thing you can do is choose yourself. I never regretted hitting that remove access button. Not once. Because it was not about the money. It was about my worth. And I am finally learning that I am worth being seen. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in a relationship? Have you ever given everything only to be erased from the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear your experiences. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about real life. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they are enough exactly as they are. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your presence in someone's life should never be negotiable. You deserve to be celebrated, not cropped out. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, the right person will never make you fit their aesthetic, because you will be their aesthetic. Stay strong, stay visible, and never let anyone convince you that you are too much or not enough. You are exactly right.